about saving worlds. But you do.
Trust me, kid, I'm no hero. You were an X-Man. You were the X-Man. I am soaking wet right now.
I think we all are Deadpool. This week on Talking About the Movies, let's talk about not only my most anticipated movie for the year, but probably one of the biggest movies of the year, if not going to be the biggest movie of the year. Ryan Reynolds returning as Deadpool, the Mark with the Mouth, and Hugh Jackman returning as Wolverine in Deadpool and Wolverine. Let's fucking go. And welcome to another episode of Talking About the Movies, where we talk about the biggest new releases of the weekend, and needless to say, there's no bigger new release this weekend than the movie that we're talking about today, and that is, of course, Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, this is a movie that is one of those movies that's going to have a lot of spoilers that I'm going to try to... Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try my best to do a non-spoiler review and for this first half of the video, and then for the second half of the video, that's when I'll delve into the spoilers, because I feel like I should talk about those particular spoilers here, but I'll have a link to the spoilers there if you want to go check those out there. That'll be in the second half of the video, but for the first half here, don't worry about it. This is going to be a non-spoiler review. I will do my best to not spoil anything that you probably don't already know from seeing at least the first two trailers. The third trailer, and everyone was talking about that, the most recent trailer that came out a couple days ago. I actually just watched it again not too long ago. It's just earlier today, and some say it is a spoiler-filled trailer, but I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's as bad as I think they were letting it on before, but still, like I said, I'm going to split this up into two reviews. This is going to be the non-spoiler review here, and I'll delve into some of the spoilers in the second half of the video, so you don't have to worry about stopping anything at this point, but with that said, let's go ahead and talk about Deadpool and Wolverine. Of course, we might as well talk about the first two Deadpool movies. I really like them. I really like the first Deadpool movie a lot. It was one of my favorite movies of the year that year. Deadpool 2's not quite as good as the original film, but I still liked it a lot. I thought there was a lot of fun elements they added to it. Adding Josh Brolin as Cable in there was pretty cool. You had Zazie Beetz also joining there. Rob Delaney as plays Peter, who is the only person in this movie that actually comes back, even though in the trailer... In the first trailer that came out, they had Josh Brolin in there as Cable, so I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if we're going to find out there's a lot of stuff that they put on the cutting room floor, that had characters that were supposed to be in here. Like, Zazie Beetz' Domino character doesn't even get mentioned in this particular film, but I still like Deadpool 2 a lot, even though it's not as good as the original film. It's still a ton of fun. It's really great. I mean, there's a reason why I have that, come on, point to it, there it is. Why I have that back there. That's all my Deadpool steelbooks back there in that little section there in between the Avengers and the Everything Blue Cornetto trilogy there. So, yeah. I like Deadpool 2 still. I even have Once Upon a Deadpool, which is basically a PG-13 cut-down version of Deadpool 2, which is not that good, but I think it's worth it for the extra stuff they do throw in there, like the stuff with Fred Savage and all that. And so now we have Deadpool and Wolverine, a movie that a lot of people did not think was going to be able to be done, especially because, 20th Century Fox is now under Disney, and Disney doesn't usually do R-rated movies. And technically, this is not an official 20th Century Studios release. It's a Disney release, even though it does say in the credits, in association with 20th Century Studios. But this is a Marvel Studios film. Essentially, Disney's first real R-rated film, even though their logo isn't completely over it. They mention it all the time throughout the course of the film, and like I said, at the end of the movie, it's even said, in association with 20th Century Studios. So basically, it's Disney's first R-rated film. It's not only that, it's the first R-rated film in the MCU, and it's the first one to integrate characters from Deadpool, and especially X-Men, into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And in the film, you have Deadpool, who's pulled from his quiet life by the Time Variancy Authority, which is, of course, the company that's in Loki. No one really from Loki is associated with the film, except for the fact that it's the Time Variance Authority, and he partners up with a reluctant werewolf on I'm thinking of the Scooby-Doo movie, good lord. A reluctant Wolverine, played by Hugh Jackman, on a journey to save his universe. And this is a different Wolverine from the Wolverine that dies in Logan. And See, the hard thing about this is that I'm trying to find out how to split the spoilery stuff to the non-spoilery stuff here. This really isn't I'm thinking this isn't really a spoiler in general, but the way that they kind of work around the fact that in Deadpool's world, this Logan is dead, but they find a way to make it work where it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like it's unnecessary, doing a thing that's very unnecessary. In the beginning of the movie, Deadpool is literally looking for Logan and finds Logan's dead body from the 2017 movie, and so he ends up getting, and there's this big fight scene with the Time Variance Authority where he's beating the crap out of them with Logan's dead body. Like, Logan's body is all skeletons and all that, and it's disrespectful, and yet it's heartwarming and feels like it makes sense to what you expect from a Deadpool movie. I mean, it combines the two, and it just puts you in for the ride of your life, because this is a good, fun ride overall. I mean, how can you go wrong with Deadpool using Logan's dead body to beat these people up while NSYNC's Bye 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 is in the background? They do more with that song than the Bye Bye Man did. I still don't get how you could not do something with that song in that particular movie. But then again, it's been 7 years, and most people have forgotten that movie. But this one's definitely not going to be forgotten pretty soon. But and then flashes back to the events of 2018 after Deadpool 2, and like I said, Deadpool. Wade Wilson's basically trying to live a normal life because he gets an opportunity, which I'm not going to go deep into spoilers here because that's one of the cameos in here, but he goes in for that opportunity, he doesn't get it, and he basically just goes back to a normal life. We find out that him and Vanessa have split up, and they don't really give a good explanation of what exactly happened. We just basically assume that, we find out later on that there's a little bit of they couldn't get along because, Deadpool can't find a steady job anymore, and it's him that's basically telling her like, if you don't want to be with me, just say it, and that kind of stuff happens there. And this is a different Wolverine from what I don't know if it's really a spoiler or not, but they make it seem like it's the Wolverine from X-Men Origins Wolverine, because you see like little brief flashes of X-Men Origins Wolverine. At least that's what I'm assuming. That's the direction they're going with here. And they make a big deal about the fact that he's from an alternate universe that let down the people there, and we never really get a full guesstimation of what exactly happened. And if there's one flaw to the whole movie, it's the story, and I think it's really kind of all over the place. Like, the villains, they're fun villains. You got Matthew McFadden from Succession as the person from the Time Variance Authority, and then you have Emma Curran playing Cassandra Nova, which really isn't that much of a spoiler since it's already been kind of let go in the trailers. But I thought she was really good in the movie. I thought she did a very good job of handling that role. She could be very funny. She could also be very sinister. Matthew McFadden, I think kind of is pretty good, even though he is kind of just a sideline villain. He's not even really a villain. He's just somebody who, like, they really don't establish these two characters, that character in particular, properly, like they do with someone like Emma Curran as Cassandra Nova. I thought that she was the much better villain overall, even though, like I said, I do like Matthew McFadden in this. In fact, a lot of the characters from the Deadpool world don't really get a lot of screen time here. They're just in the first maybe 10 minutes of the movie, and then they're just gone at this point. Like I said, they don't mention Cable, they don't mention Domino, but you see Blind Owl, you see Negasonic Teenage Warhead, you see Colossus, that's what I was thinking of. You see Dopinder. The only character from the Deadpool universe that gets a lot more screen time in this is Rob Delaney as Peter, who I actually thought had a pretty good, fun role in this movie in general. Like, he's on the sidelines, but when he shows up, there's stuff that he does that actually makes it very, very funny in the long run. And I thought they did a good job of handling that in particular. The movie overall is a very fun movie. I would definitely say that this is a pretty good trilogy that we've got here. What really carries the film, I think, is Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. These two are just so perfectly placed together in this movie, and you could definitely tell that when they were making this movie, it was trying to be like an 80s buddy cop movie in a way. Which I think essentially was Sean Levy's intentions. I mean, he wanted the film to be very much like the buddy cop movies of, buddy comedy movies of the 1980s. You know, classic R-rated ones like Midnight Run, 48 Hours, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And it definitely shows in this movie. Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds just work off each other so well. They can be very funny together. The action sequences between the two of them are top-notch. You get two really good ones when they're fighting each other. Especially the one in the car, the Honda Odyssey, which is really, really funny. The fact that they were able to do as much as they were able to do in there was pretty impressive on a number of different levels. And it really works a lot. And not only does the comedy work well here, there's also a lot of heartfelt moments, too. You forget these Deadpool movies, they're great comedies and all, but they do have their time to be very emotional or heartfelt. And once again here, you get a lot of that here, especially with Hugh Jackman, who really has given it his all in this role. Like he just makes it work so well in this movie, and he is very, very good in this film. Especially when you get to characters we'll talk about in the spoiler review if you want to stick around for that. If you already saw the movie, of course. But yeah, there are a lot of cameos in here, and yeah, it's very much fan service. But you know what? I like a little I like these type of movies. I like fan service. I like these little. I like it when they do these little cameos. I mean, it felt like I was watching Spider-Man: No Way Home again, pretty much. But yeah, it really is. I thought they were a ton of fun. I thought they worked out very well. And yeah, there's a way to do these cameos and make it work. And then there's movies like The Flash, which we won't talk about on any way, shape, or form. Is there anything else I really want to talk about without getting into too many spoilers? I think we pretty much covered it all. I mean, like I said, the action sequences are really good. The choices of musical numbers in here are very good as well. Like, you could tell that the movie knows exactly... You could tell that Marvel and Disney just said, you know what, you guys do what you got to do, and we'll just go with it. I mean, you guys know how to make money off of this, and sure enough, that's exactly what's happened so far. I mean, as I'm recording this movie helped push Marvel past $30 billion. The Marvel Cinematic Universe past $30 billion, which, hey, not a bad investment for a company for Disney that spent $4 billion on it 15 years ago. And look at what we've gotten since then. I mean, this is probably one of the more fun movies they've done in a long, long time. Now, I've liked most of the MCU stuff since COVID, but I can tell you that there is definitely a lot of flaws to the MCU right now, especially with the stuff like Black Widow, Eternals, the Marvels, which I like the Marvels enough, but I will say that it wasn't. I'll agree that it was not as good as it could have been. Like, Quantumania was really one of those big disappointments, especially with essentially Jonathan Majors fucking it up for everybody, since now that whole Kang setup they were setting up in Quantumania has become absolutely moot. And now we're getting Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom, which I know everybody's going off on it. I know everyone thinks it's desperation and like the MCU is struggling for ideas, but I'm remaining cautiously optimistic. It's Robert Downey Jr. If anybody can make it work, it's him. He's proven time and time again how good of an actor he can really be. And it's also, we're still in the multiverse saga, so this could be an entirely different Doctor Doom in general. This could be something from the Multiverse of Madness, kind of. But I get what people are upset about. It does seem like desperation, but you know what? I'm giving it a chance. I mean, the Russo brothers coming back feels like desperation, but you know what? Those guys made four really damn good MCU movies, so let's see what they can do. I'm remaining cautiously optimistic. I'm not one of those people that's going to go down that rabbit hole that people are just like, oh, the MCU's not good anymore. No. The MCU is still good. It's just not as great as it was before COVID. And yeah, there was a lot of flaws in those MCU movies before COVID, but now they're becoming more and more prevalent. But such as the whole thing with Eternals and that thing that nobody ever talks about, which this movie does not either, which I'm actually really surprised. They do not mention the statue that's around the Earth and all that. So, although supposedly that's going to be destroyed in Captain America: Brave New World. So we'll wait to see what happens on that front there. So, but yeah, like I said, I really enjoyed this movie a lot. I do think it's still a ton of fun. There are flaws to the film in terms of mostly with the story and all, but the fun factor is still there, man. This is still a really good, fun, enjoyable movie. It's a fun tribute to the to the comics in general. Not only that, it's a fun tribute to 20th Century Fox and the Marvel movies that they were producing too. Like, yeah, they're making fun of the stuff in there, but again, kind of like with the beginning of the movie, they're making fun of it. Some people might say they're disrespecting it, but they're paying a nice homage to it, to the point where there's even a little tribute segment at the end of the movie, which, in the end credits, which when you look at it, I'm fully convinced that that's a parody of the Seinfeld clip show finale. Like, remember when Seinfeld ended and they had the finale with the song Green Day's "Time of Your Life"? That's what plays at the end of this movie here. And the film just feels like a tribute to the 20th Century Fox label, and the fact that these characters came from there and now they're in the MCU pretty much. Yeah, it's a fun tribute, and I like the way that they managed to put that together in this. Overall, I really enjoyed the film a lot. I will say there was one other thing I forgot to mention. Dogpool's pretty freaking awesome, man. I just completely forgot about it before I was about to wrap it up here, but I like that character a lot. He's not really doing a whole lot in general, but his presence just makes me happy. Like, I think a lot of people will be very happy when Dogpool shows up in the movie, even though he's not really doing a whole lot. But how can you say no to something that ugly and beautiful at the same time? But then again, maybe it's just me personally, because my dog is literally almost like Dogpool, except a completely different breed. But he does lick a lot. See what I mean? So yeah, I thought that was kind of fun. I'm gonna want to see them do more with it, honestly. I think that Dogpool character should eventually take off in some way, shape, or form. I think this Halloween, I would not be surprised if we see a lot of dog costumes that are Dogpool. In fact, I'd be shocked if I didn't go to Spirit Halloween and I didn't see a Dogpool costume there. I think Disney would be making a huge mistake by not having that in there, but who knows? But like I was saying before, Deadpool and Wolverine is still a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was very fun. The comedy is still pretty good, especially between Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. They both work off each other very well. They found a good way to incorporate these characters into the MCU while also kind of trashing yet paying homage to what had come before with the 20th Century Fox Marvel movies. It's a fun film. The action sequences are top notch. The adventure aspect is very good. The fun factor is there. It's just a good, fun time. And I think people who have been trashing the MCU for the last couple of years, I think they're going to find a lot about this movie to really enjoy about it. It was definitely a really good, fun time. I really enjoyed it. I give it a big thumbs up. I thought it was very fun all the way through. Deadpool and Wolverine, man. I can't recommend it enough. So yeah. So that's my non-spoiler review. We're going to get into spoilers now, so I'm going to give you guys a couple of seconds to go ahead and exit off of here if you want to. But if you saw the movie already, stick around, because we're going to delve into spoilers right after this. Okay, so hey, wait a minute. I see one other person over there still sticking around here. If you didn't see the movie, get the hell on out of here. God damn it. Okay, is everybody gone now? Everybody out of here? Okay. Alright, we're jumping into spoilers. So, I don't think there's a better way for me to start off with this by just saying right off the bat that let's talk about the one spoiler that got me. Because, when this character because let's just be honest, Wesley Snipes showing up as fucking Blade was pretty amazing. Like, there's a lot of good cameos in this movie, a lot of good surprise cameos, but I'm telling you, when Blade showed up and Wesley Snipes played him, that was the moment where I was just like, whoa, like, because think about what's going on right now with the character of Blade, you know, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is trying to put Blade into a movie. They've been trying to get this movie with Mahershala Ali made for so many years now. They announced it back in 2019, for God's sakes. We're coming up on 6 years since that movie was announced. They just fired another director. They're rewriting the script. Mahershala Ali's still attached to it, but you're hearing him basically saying that he's basically saying he's almost close to walking away. And I would not be surprised if we get news later on down the road that the Blade movie probably is not happening. But what we're seeing right here is probably the closest we're going to get to seeing Blade on the big screen in the MCU. And I was just amazed that they got Wesley Snipes to play him again. Like Wesley Snipes, his reputation has not been as strong as it usually has been, because he's been stuck in direct-to-DVD hell ever since the last Blade movie. And the last Blade movie, he wasn't even trying to save that movie. They had to re-record a lot of his dialogue because he wouldn't show up for the re-recordings. It sounds like a completely different person altogether, and like. So it's amazing that he's back in this movie, and he's badass in this movie too. Like if Mahershala Ali drops out, if that actually happens with him, just get Wesley Snipes to come back as Blade again. I mean, really, that's where we're at right now. It's just like I know that we're gonna get to the other cameos, but that was my favorite cameo in the whole movie. The one that just came out of nowhere, just like, whoa, how the heck did you get him to pull this off and actually do a commendable job in there? I mean, I thought he was like, that was the moment that my theater also was like, whoa. So that was my favorite cameo from the movie in general. But the cameos pretty much start right from the get-go, where you have the movie begins where Wade's trying to get a job with this company, and you realize that it's Stark Industries, and you see Happy Hogan, played by Jon Favreau, showing up. He basically wants to join the Avengers, but he's essentially rejected because, as he put it, Happy Hogan puts it, basically tells him that he's not ready to join them yet, but they do leave it open eventually for him to maybe become an Avenger down the road. Like, we'll probably see him in the Avengers Doomsday or Avengers Secret Wars, because it seems like that's what they're setting up for. I mean, Happy's right now kind of essentially keeping the Avengers legacy intact here. And I do really like that his character, in particular, has evolved from just being the chauffeur for Tony Stark to essentially becoming the guy that's keeping it all together. Like, he's kind of a Nick Fury when Nick Fury isn't around. And I do really like that. I do really like the evolution of that character in particular. That being said, they do make fun. I like that Deadpool does take some pretty good hard jabs at Happy in this, which are very good too. I mean, like I said, Jon Favreau I think works very well in this movie as that character. The Wolverines. There's a lot of Wolverines in this movie in particular. The one that they take is a Wolverine that I'm guessing is from X-Men Origins Wolverine, but we see a lot of different Wolverines. We see the Wolverines from the comics where like he's supposed to be really, really short, which leads to a lot of good funny moments. There's a Wolverine from when Wolverine is fighting the Hulk. The biggest one of the whole movie, which was one of those ones where it's just like, okay, okay, that's another one that's just like, whoa, like, you see Wolverine in his famous white tank top, and from the back, and you think, my thought was maybe that it was going to be like, I don't know why I thought this, but I thought it was going to be Hugh Jackman's character from movie 43, where he had, like, the balls on his chin. Like, for some reason, it looked like they were setting that up, but I don't know why they would have thought that. Maybe it's a good hard joke at Hugh Jackman for being, maybe Hugh Jackman's in joke for being in movie 43, which, for a movie like this that has a lot of homoeroticism and is a very homoerotic humor to it, like, why not? I mean, why not go for it? But no, they don't do that, unfortunately. But what they do is pretty cool. He turns around, and it's Henry Cavill as Wolverine. Superman is Wolverine in this movie. And I don't know if they're setting it up possibly for him to become Wolverine at some point, which could be pretty cool if that happens. I don't know yet, but at least in that scene in particular, I thought it was pretty fun overall. But then again, his Superman. It's complicated with the Superman. I think it was more with Zack Snyder that was the big problem with Superman in general than it was Henry Cavill. I mean, he was trying his best, but that doesn't help when you have a script by Zack Snyder. It's when Zack Snyder is controlling you. And I love how Deadpool even says, "We will take care of you more than those fucktards over across the street." We know exactly who they're talking about, even though there's a possibility that maybe Marvel and DC might end up merging together since James Gunn is now running DC, but I digress. So we find the Wolverine that will become the Wolverine that Deadpool will team up with. They don't really explain how he changes into his suit in general, in the suit that everyone wants to see him in, the yellow suit and all. they don't really kind of explain it. Like, they show him in the bar, and then the very next scene, he's at the TVA, and it's basically the Logan, and he's already in the suit. Which, where did he get it from? Who knows? But hey, it looks pretty cool. So they end up getting stuck in the void, and they end up fighting, and then you see Chris Evans in the movie, and this is something I probably should have. I think a lot of us probably should have figured out right from the get-go, but they show him in this cloak at the beginning, and you see it's Chris Evans, and you think, oh, it's going to be Captain America, because he's got, like, the beard and all that type of stuff. And then you see all the different characters. You see these other characters showing up in the X-Men movies. You've got Sabretooth, once again played by Tyler Labine, I think? Tyler Mane. Tyler Labine's a different person. Tyler Mane, you have Toad, you also have Pyro in here as well. Lady Deathstrike. So a lot of characters from the X-Men are all throughout this movie, but the segment what I'm talking about here is this point where they fight Sabretooth, and then all of a sudden, and actually this was actually before he fights Sabretooth. I'm trying to remember now from the movie. So Chris Evans shows up. You think it's going to be Captain America. Deadpool's like, oh, here comes the saying of, as in you think he's going to say Avengers Assemble, and he's just like flame on, and then you realize that, oh yeah, he was Johnny Storm in the original Fantastic Four, and still it's still a cool looking effect in general, and they do have a lot of fun with that character in general, and leads to a lot of good funny moments with him and as the character Johnny Storm. There's like a running plot where, you know, Johnny is seen as like there's a whole running gag that happens where Deadpool and Wolverine get taken to the void area where I'm trying to remember where it is. It's where Cassandra Nova's is located at, and it's basically inside of a dead Ant-Man, giant Ant-Man, and there's this whole thing where Deadpool goes on this long rant about how, you know, Johnny Storm was talking shit about her, and you think that this is just him making up some bullshit along the way, because he eventually does get killed off as his skin is ripped apart and his guts go completely on the floor. Like, there's a lot of death in this movie caused by Deadpool, quite honestly, the more I think about it. But then later on they do reveal that, yeah, Johnny was talking some shit to him. About this character, but about Cassandra Nova. It was in the end credits in particular, the very end of the credits, like the post-credits sequence. Some people might think it was kind of anticlimactic, because I thought they were setting something up here. But you know what? For what they were trying to do, I think that was more than worth it enough to see Chris Evans as Johnny Storm swearing up a storm, because yeah, he does a lot in that one sequence there. You have the character of Alioth, who's like kind of a cloud character. I'm trying to see who. He's a cloud-like matter-consuming entity which resides in the void and guards the Citadel at the end of time. And this was something that was established in Loki, because Alioth was created during the first multiversal war and was harnessed and weaponized by Kang, variant He Who Remains, to end the war. And I'm reading that off of Wikipedia, by the way. So that I'm just trying to remember exactly what this was, because I thought it was Galactus at first. Like you think it's going to be like Galactus from Rise of the Silver Surfer, where he's just a cloud in general. But if you saw the stuff on Comic-Con, no, we're going to get to see Galactus, and he looks. It's only a little bit of a scene, but he looked pretty intimidating at the very end of the little trailer that leaked out. But so yeah, there's that, and then they have all these different variants of Deadpool. You know, we meet one of the first ones, Nicepool, who is like a much nicer Deadpool character that apparently cannot regenerate like everybody else can, which I thought was very humorous. We find that out in the climax of the movie, which I'll get to in just a second here. But it was very funny to see him in that role. And then we get to that scene I was talking about where we see Blade, because not only do we see Blade, we also see Jennifer Garner back as Elektra, and we also see Daphne Keane as Laura X-23 from Logan. And then this was the one that I was actually kind of impressed that they were able to put that together. Channing Tatum as Gambit, Which you got to remember that back when X-Men Origins Wolverine came out, they were talking about doing a Gambit movie with I believe Taylor Kitsch, but then they eventually decided to go with Channing Tatum. But that film never came to be, and it really is an. It was kind of cool to see Channing Tatum actually go in and actually do that role in particular. And this was something that they had. I think they essentially were going to do it with Channing Tatum. I think around. I'm trying to look here. I'm trying to do some research. Trying to see here. Was it early on? Maybe. It might have been early on. Like it might have been just right after 22 Jump Street came out. Maybe it was. I could have sworn that. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just looking at it from Wikipedia here. When did Channing Tatum signed on in early 2014. And then, of course, you have X-23 from Logan, who they kind of already spoiled in the trailer before, the last trailer that came out. But I was kind of interested to see how they were going to bring her into the table. And while she doesn't really do a whole lot in general, she does have a good connection with Wolverine, even though this is a completely different Wolverine. And it's a nice little scene. It doesn't really go on for too long in general, but it does work. It's a very solid and effective scene. And it shows some of that magic that was in Logan in particular, especially now with a much older X-23. You also I talked about the characters that were already in the film: the Toe, Lady Deathstrike, Callisto, Azrael, Bullseye, Psylocke. There's a lot of references to other things as well. The Punisher. Blade uses his gun in particular in this movie. His big AK-40. It's like an AK-47 or something like that. But yeah, like I said, the biggest one that really got me in that particular scene was when Wesley Snipes showed up as Blade, and I've gone into detail on that one. So they get back to the regular timeline, and Wade and Logan have to basically fight this army of Deadpool variants, and you've got all these different Deadpools from various spectrums of the various spectrums. You've got the dog, of course, whose name is Mary Poppins, by the way. Then you have Lady Deadpool, which there was a lot of interesting things about whether or not who was the voice of Lady Deadpool. Some people thought it was Blake Lively. Some people thought it was Taylor Swift. It really could have been either way once you saw the movie, but it was later revealed in the credits that it was indeed Blake Lively as Lady Deadpool, and it's a fun little cameo in general. There's a lot of good cameos in that particular scene. You've got Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds' two kids playing Kidpool and Babypool, which were very fun to see. You've got Headpool, the CG head of Deadpool, played by Nathan Fillion, who of course was Deadpool in the. No, I'm sorry, I mistook that. I was thinking of he was Deadpool in the video game, but that was Nolan North. I was actually kind of surprised he didn't show up in here. Matthew McConaughey plays Cowboy Pool, which kind of a very not necessary cameo, but still fun regardless. In fact, a lot of these cameos are very unnecessary, but they're very fun regardless. You've got Paul Mullen, who if you saw Welcome to Wrexham, he plays Welsh Pool in this. They've got Reynolds' stunt double as Canada Pool, which is that's actually a surprise to me, because I thought at first that was basically Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, but as Canada Pool. But I mean, then again, it still could be. Maybe they just plastered his head over it. But you also got like Watari the Fool, Deadpool 2099, Golden Age Deadpool, Zen Pool, a Welsh Night Pool, Pirate Pool, a Dance Pool. Like there's all these different There's all these different characters throughout the course of the movie. There's a lot of cameos from. Chris Hemsworth has a cameo as Thor. They used archival footage from Thor: The Dark World. It's kind of a gag that they don't really go anywhere with. Like this, it's basically Deadpool plastered over Loki in general, and Deadpool's just watching that scene from the TVA. It's just like, why is he crying? Why is Thor crying? And we never find out why. And Rob McElhenney, who of course works with Ryan Reynolds on Welcome to Wrexham and is on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, he was actually a TVA soldier, even though his scene got cut out. Although technically he's still credited in the credits for the film, so I don't know what was going on that front there. But it would have been funny if they would have just ended up in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I mean, it seemed like at some point they were going to do that, but now it sticks to the MCU in general, but it has a lot of good inside Easter egg jokes. Like, you really have to look at some of the jokes in general. like references to Rob Liefeld. There's one great one on this bus during the really cool action sequence at the end where, you know, they're fighting on the bus, and you see this ad on the bus for Stan Lee Steamer, and it's Stan Lee Steamer, and it's Stan Lee next to it. I thought that was kind of amusing. There's all these other ones too, like there's Lyman's. I mean, there's just so many that I could mention a name, but they're just all over the movie, and it's one of those ones where it's definitely going to warrant a lot of rewatching just to see all the different Easter eggs that are all throughout the movie. I mean, obvious ones you can see, like the Fox logo in the void, like that was something that was mentioned very quickly early on, and they could have had a lot more cameos too. I mean, there was also Patrick Stewart, who was Xavier in Multiverse of Madness. He was actually being asked to potentially return for that, but scheduling issues didn't work out in the favor, so they went with Emma Corrin as Cassandra Nova. The TVA is in here, of course, but they also would have had Mobius and Morbius, Owen Wilson's character, and Miss Minutes, Tara Strong, in there. They were supposedly in there, but I guess they did get cut out in general. I'm trying to see who else they had in here. I could have sworn Josh Brolin did show up as Cable in that first trailer, and just never really. And just, I don't know if he was cut out of the movie or not, but yeah, he's not. He was not in the movie when it was all said and done. But yeah, there's a lot of cameos in this movie, and there's definitely a lot of stuff that is going to warrant a lot of rewatchability down the road. And of course, you get to see Wolverine don the mask, which I knew was going to happen at some point, and it's funny because they had these cups coming out for months in advance beforehand, and we got to look at Wolverine with the mask on there. It looks all right, but it looks very video game-ish in general at first. But I will say, when he does it in the movie, he looks pretty badass. I mean, it looks like it's something straight out of not just the comic books, but also the animated series, and it works so well. I mean, Hugh Jackman was just born to play this role in general, and again, so was Ryan Reynolds. But I digress. That's my little prop there that I brought up from downstairs. But yeah, those are essentially a lot of the spoilers that I was able to pick out on. I know there's a lot of other videos out there that are going to delve deep into them. But like I said, this is going to be one that's going to warrant a lot of rewatchability down the road. And quite frankly, I'd be more than happy to do so because I had a good time with the movie. I thought it was great. I thought it was a good, fun time overall. It was just a really good, fun time overall. I really enjoyed it a lot. This trilogy is so damn good. I mean, the Deadpool trilogy as a whole is a lot of fun from beginning to end. I would probably say the first one is still the best one overall, but Sean Levy does a very good job of bringing his style to the table. And this is a guy that worked well with Ryan Reynolds on Free Guy and the Atom Project, and now he's in the MCU, and it works very well for him. I'm actually kind of surprised they didn't go with him to do the next Avengers movie, because they were talking about him as the front runner before they brought the Russo brothers back in. So I don't know what happened there. Maybe contract negotiations broke down. Maybe there's something deeper that we're going to find out down the road when that expose comes out about the MCU. Because you know that everything's going to have an expose at some point. So hell, there might be an expose about me down the road if I get super famous enough. But bottom line is we're all going to get exposed at some point. That's what I'm trying to say here. So anyway, let's end this on a positive note. Deadpool and Wolverine, pretty freaking awesome. If you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor and see it because it is a ton of fun. It works. It's a fantastic film. Can't recommend it enough. So, alright, so I think we're done here with Deadpool and Wolverine. Very fun movie. Next week's not going to be very fun because I'm going to review Harold and the Purple Crayon. You know, the movie that is based off the children's book, which its author, Crockett Johnson. If you listen real carefully, you can still hear him spinning in his grave at the fact that they're about to tarnish his movie in general. Because, man, this film does not look good. I mean, it looks like a complete insult to the book itself. And, I mean, we'll see what happens. Who knows? Maybe it might be good. But I sincerely doubt it from the stuff I've seen so far. From the trailers and everything else. And, it just looks pretty bad. So, I'll have a review for that for you next week, but let me know your thoughts on Deadpool and Wolverine. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like what you saw, check out my other reviews I've done. Hit the like and subscribe button. Subscribe to our channel. Subscribe to the Reviewing Network Live. And follow me on social media. I'm now pretty much everywhere because I have unfortunately joined the TikTok game too. the app that I once called Watered Down Vine, which I still think it is, but I joined it for just to see if I can what happens there. I mean, who knows? Maybe I will grow to love it, but I doubt it, but we'll see. But if you want to follow me on TikTok, just type the Reviewing Network in there, and you should be able to find me there. So, with that said, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. And until then, as always, take care. Let's fucking go.